Hello everybody and welcome here to PAR Proximity Apex Racing, where tonight it is the Tier 3 Sao Paulo GP. Not fantastic attendance. I mean, people are joining in quali, luckily. I mean, we're gonna hope for the best. We're gonna hope for the best. We're gonna hope for some great content here. There usually is with Tier 3, if we're gonna be honest. There's usually a cheeky bit of a battle. Well, no matter the attendance, so hopefully we'll have a good race tonight. And it's, of course, always here live on Twitch, so you can follow us here on Twitch and also TikTok and YouTube if you all feel a cheeky bit interested. As well as this, you can also take a look at our description inside of the PAR Twitch, and you will be able to find the link to our Discord. It is a 35% due to the low attendance, unfortunately. And I mean, if you think you'd be a tier 3 driver, then come in there, pop down to the good old PAR stream, because let's be honest, we kind of need the tier 3 drivers by the looks of it. But nevertheless, Taroo 5 is going to come out of the pit lane here in Sao Paulo. A very entertaining circuit, lots of technical turns, but as well as this, some beautiful turns through the first and second turn, looping turns that really challenge the drivers. Second sector as well is a bit more grueling than the first and third. This is going to be the TV pod offset camera angle, by the way, because that's what I have as my TV pod's offset camera angle when I'm actually driving. So I know for some people it might look just a wee bit odd. I can only apologise, but I can't really be bothered to change it. You'll just have to deal with it. And plus, it's not that deep anyways. It's just a camera angle. Mr. What's his Discord name? Hold on. Let me just I think it's Fuis. Something like that. Let me check. Prius? Let me just check. Yeah. Pruis. Just gonna call him Prius, if I'm honest, mate. If you have a jarring name like that, I'm just gonna say your name wrong. So, have that. But nevertheless, the Alfa Romeo of Taroo 5 will come around that last turn to start off a qualifying lap here in Brazil, in Sao Paulo. And as we go into that first turn, braking down, going downhill, a lot of elevation changes throughout this circuit. You will notice that quite a little bit. One of the most entertaining bits of the circuit is this DRS zone, where most overtakes do occur. That's where we saw the real-life battle with Alonso and Perez taking place, which saw great entertainment amongst the Brazilian fans. Taroo 5, throughout that first sector, of course, will go purple, as it is his first lap. And he will go around the long, sweeping right-hander here. It's very difficult to try and keep your traction. And going into the second sector, you just take a look, trying to stick close to the cheeky bit of curbs over here. That doesn't seem too bad so far. It seems quite nice and tidy for Taroo 5 as we go into, yet again, another swooping down turn. Almost like a bank, really. Like you would see in the last turn of the Dutch Grand Prix in Zandvoort. That last turn where it's quite banky. It's kind of, I guess, the same with the statistics style, I guess, of that term. But nevertheless, Taroo will come around that last turn, go close to the inside line, cross the line. That's going to be a 109.6. Cal has gone quicker on some mediums, so just showing the lightning pace that Cal has, as the Cobras will come around that last turn. We'll take a look at what the Alpine can perform in this, historical circuit. Around that last turn, across the line, and that's going to be a 110.9, and that is around 8 tenths off of Daniel Deswan. Prius is going to come around that last turn in that Haas car, and that's going to be on pole for now, 109.551. It's good enough for that top spot. We have yet to see Kaylee and Drippo. I'm calling him Drippo. Why not? Drippy. Drippo will come out of the pit lane to do his lap as well. And if you are wondering, it is just me for the comms tonight. Nobody else. Just a cheeky bit of me for tonight. And yeah, that's all pretty much to say so far. It's been some decent laps. This is a nice battle for that P1 in Q1. Well, the only short qualifying session, of course. We'll have that short qualifying session, folks, but it is 35% due to the low attendance. And we're going to hope that it's Combat Flipper wants to join. Of course, he will get that invite because he is my goat. Invite to the game. I'll add him as a friend as well. Why not? Combat Flipper, my goat, my G. There we are. Well, we're going to see Drippo on a flying lap. We're going to go on that TV pod offset so you guys can actually get used to this camera angle. As going into that second turn, you can see lifting off there actually, so he's not too confident going through those first two turns so far, but nevertheless it does give him the better rotation throughout that second turn. He's going to have that DRS wide open, already around 40% ERS, which is quite surprising if I'm honest. But now that throttle being increased, and Drippo will go through this right-hander. He does take a bit of curve on that inside. It is a treacherous turn to go around, as you can get caught on the throttle and spin round, and your back end goes, and all of a sudden, you're around facing the drivers behind you, and you might crash out. But the Williams will now go into this right-hander here, like I said, a bit of a banker one, and going into this downhill left-hander here. The elevation change is so lovely to see here in Sao Paulo. A lovely, satisfying track for everyone to witness. As the Williams comes round that last turn, he's going to finish off his lap right now. The Brazilian crowd watching on as the Williams flies past that last turn. DRS open across the line. And in the 11th minute of this qualifying session, it will be a 109.903. Kaylee is also going to be on a lap right now. I believe she's leading the standings, if I'm not mistaken. We'll take a look though. And no, Carlos is actually, who's not here. Combat Flipper is in P3. So actually, Kaylee is around P10 in standings. Just hasn't been racing a lot, unfortunately. But she is here today, and she is here to get her skills out on the circuit. And DRS will be open down, of course, what is such an entertaining straight for battles, overtakes. Combat Flipper is in, so we are up to 8 now. Vamos. As into the right-hander we go with Kaylee. And that throttle is down to the ground as we scurry through the second sector. And, of course, the Alfa Romeo, I mean, there is 1, 2, 3, 4 Ferrari Academy drivers making up. I mean, half the grid's Ferrari. So, Ferrari Academy, I mean. So, that's things you have to see if you know, you're a Ferrari Academy fan. Or just part of the Ferrari Academy, which is also me. Kaylee, round that last turn, and that's going to be a 108.6. We're in the 8s here in the qualifying session, and that is around, oh crikey, 9/10 clear of Prius there in second place. Cal comes around that last turn. He gets a 108.9, so he's only 3/10 off Kaylee, exactly 3/10 off Kaylee. And so he's demonstrating his skills around the Brazilian GP, or the qualifying session. And, well, you can just take a look at Taroo. He's on out lap, the first man to set a lap in this qualifying session. He is out on the circuit. And round that last turn, he is now starting that lap. And the Alfa Romeo, we'll see what he can do. How much is he going to improve on? You can take a look at, of course, the sector times on your top right of the screen. It tells you also how much the drivers are improving on. So let's take a look, see. As on the end of this sector 1, down this straight, the end of sector 1 is now. Well, that's going to be 18 thousandths. So he's able to find throughout the first and second turn. And, well, technically third, 3 turns, really. And having 18,000 improvement on 3 turns is quite good, for being frank here. Sector 2 almost coming to an end. Of course, Sector 2 ends near the last braking zone of the circuit. And then, of course, the last turn of the circuit as well. Now, Taroo going downhill on this left-hander. Is it flat out for him? Yes, it is. And in this last turn, he is 5 tenths up. So this is quite an improvement here for Taroo. And round that last turn he goes. Is it good enough to get him into the top 2? We'll have to see, unless he gains an immense amount of time down this straight, which I doubt he's going to do. But across the line for Taroo, and it's going to be a 9.1, 5 tenths improvement. He's He's up into P3. Prius now has found a 10th into that first sector, so far so good. For the Haskars, we go into the right-hander. Oh, he's always lost a little bit of traction there, hasn't he? He's just managed to save it. Very, very lucky to not be spinning around that turn. Combat Flipper's also on the lap as well, so we'll have to see what he can produce, the other Haskar, in this qualifying session. Full throttle now going into the left, and he's losing it again. Oh, so close. He's only got a 10th improvement in this lap. That's partially down to the traction that he has. And around this last turn, what will it be for Prius? DRS open. It is going to be a 1.94. So he's 3 tenths off of Taroo. So he's got to improve by quite a little bit. 18.4 for the first sector. For Combat Flipper's second sector, I mean, you can just see right there, he's not really hugged that inside line as much as you'd like to. So he's actually abandoned the lap. So he's not happy with it. Unless I'm being stupid and he's just going on a lap now. But I'm pretty sure it's a bit confusing. For me anyways. DRS open. Is he going to put on his DRS? I wonder. Yes, he will. And I wonder. Into that first turn for Combat Flipper. Doesn't really hug the inside line as much as you'd like to. And he's lost a little bit of traction going into the second turn. So it's being quite treacherous for those first 3 turns for these drivers, which is expected. But a second found in that first sector, so clearly that first sector. Oh, he's got a bit wide there. I'm not too sure he's escaped the traction control, not traction control, the exceeding track limits and the invalidation time, but somehow he's managed to keep it in here. Of course, 1:14.8, lap that's been scarcely put on by Combat Flipper. He will now try and pin down a certain lap time, and we'll see where it puts him out of the 8-2 of course, well, racing tonight and already done a lap. Combat Flipper 8, though, will go into the last break-ins of the circuit. He's 3 seconds up. It should be around into the 9s, I reckon. I think Combat Flipper's got at least P5 in the bag. DRS open. Across the line, that's going to be a 1.94. It is into the top 5. And that is only around 11 thousandths off of his teammate's Prius in P4 there. A 10th up for Daniel as he goes into this first sector. Let's hope, well, for the Red Bull Academy, we'll hope that he can... What? Daniel De Swan, nevertheless, Daniel De Swan, sorry I got distracted for a bit there, a cow, sorry, out of nowhere, there's a 18.629, it does put him on pole, but can Daniel De Swan beat it out? No, it's a 109.7, he's onto the grass, oh, Mr. Swan there, almost put it into the barriers. And here's the Cobras, he's a 10th off his lap, going into the second sector right now, so it's not been a particularly great one for the Cobra. Cobra's around that last turn. He has found a bit of time in that second sector. Well, the Cobras, I think, has improved this lap time. I wasn't paying attention. I do apologise. Nevertheless, I've realised I have said nevertheless quite a lot in this stream, so I'm going to try and limit that. But Mr. Swan comes out that last turn. I don't know why he's not gone in on an out lap. If he was genuinely trying to go for a lap there, don't know what's wrong with the fella, if I'm honest. But nevertheless, of course, Prius on an out lap, Drippo on an out lap, and you can take a look at Taroo there, slowing up for Mr. Swan, who's yet again gone on a lap. It's a bit of an odd one, but Prius will come on that last turn to start another lap time. Can he improve by 3/10 to get him into the top 3? It would be quite the achievement for Mr. Prius. It's going into the first and second turn, of course, lifting off to about half throttle into that second turn. So clearly, it has been quite, again, difficult for the drivers into the first, second, and third turn. That's probably where you'll gain most time. And if you gain most time there, then for this tier, you'll probably be up there. Really, in terms of these lap times, it's Kaylee versus Cal right now into the pole position battle, and yet again Prius losing it into the right-hander. It's a very sketchy one to go through, and Mr. Prius will end off his sector 2 very shortly after this turn. And of course, the downhill left-hander, has he gained any time? Has he lost any time? We'll have to see. Looking at that top right of your screen, he is up by 1/10.5, exactly. It wouldn't put him anywhere else. It would just solidify his P4 so far, but round that last turn, hugging the inside here, DRS will be open. Across the line, it's going to be a 191 for Mr. Oh, crikey, Mr. Prius. Yes, again, another man going onto the grass. Going in there, in lap. Kaylee's up by 4 thousandths, was very close to track limits. I think that she actually was on track limits there, if I'm honest. Don't know how she's escaped that yet again. Another driver in this qualifying session. Oh, Kaylee's absolutely lost it going into that second sector. Just chucks the car in. The back end is not responding, and she almost went round. 6 seconds left the qualifying session. She's not going to be able to put another lap into this, unless Taroo pulls in an absolute worldie of a lap as he comes to the last turn. It is solidifying Cal's pole position, but round the last turn here for Taroo 5. Can he perform an out-worldie of a lap? He can't. It's an 8.9. It's a good lap, but it doesn't really shift him anywhere. Cal will stay in his P1 for now. Prius cannot improve. Combat Flipper is on a lap, but he's not currently improving. We'll see after the end of this second sector. I mean, if he's lost a bunch of time into his previous lap in that second sector and pulls out, 2/10 up by Cal, this could seem a bit out of reach for anybody, really, in this tier to go ahead and battle Cal for that pole position. Run the last turn, DRS open. What can the man do? It's going to be an 8.5, a 10th improvement. I don't think anybody's going to get anywhere near that. 65,000's up for Combat Flipper. It won't be enough to shift him anywhere. Prius is in the pits. Everybody's finished their laps. It's Cal on pole by around a 10th and a little bit. Fantastic lap from the Mercedes driver. And Cal, of course, with that pole position, is going to be a very happy chap after that one, getting it by a 10th and 28 thousandths. It's a very good lap for Cal, and he will be leading the front line going into that turn 1. Of course, it is a very dangerous turn 1 on that first lap. Multiple people do tend to spin, or do tend to make contact going into that first turn, so we'll have to see what will be performed. What will happen? Well, well, here we go then. It's gonna be a dry race. Um, for the Grand Prix, of course, 35%, so it's not going to be quite the 36 laps that we are used to. Of course, Tier 2 will be tomorrow, where the championship battle's getting close. Me, myself, involved in it, only 1 point behind Mosmegan going into tomorrow's race. I'm hoping to have a very good race there. So if you want to tune in for that one, you can go ahead and watch it tomorrow. It's tomorrow, sorry. Around the same time as this has gone live, so around 8 p.m. It will be, I assume, streamed by Cosmic. But nonetheless, it's Tier 3, it's 5 red lights. Green light, go, go, go. Here in the Sao Paulo Grand Prix, Cal gets to a great start. It's almost 4 wide going into the first turn. Combat Flippers looking to make up positions. And Daniel just sends it down the inside. Makes up some great positions. Turn 1 and 2 and 3 have all been swept by cleanly. Both Haskars now looking to have a battle. Kaylee and Drippo both getting into a battle themselves. Kaylee dropping down to 7th and 8th on the start now. It's been a horrible start for the Alfa Romeo driver. So unfortunate so far. You can take a look. 1 position gain for Taroo, 3 for Daniel Deswan. He's had an absolute worldie so far in this Grand Prix. We'll take a look at what tyres people are on. Daniel Deswan on those soft compound tyres. Oh, the inside, Kaylee goes. Going into the second sector, Drippo and Combat Flipper up ahead having a battle. And oh, it looks like Drippo's just been pushed wide. Through goes Kaylee, side by side. Contact made between the two of them as they go into sector 2. Kaylee around the outside. She cannot find enough grip to complete the move. And as we go into the final sector, it is Cal leading by Taroo, Daniel Deswan, Prius, Combat Flipper, Drippo, Kaylee, and the Cobras. Now Kaylee's going to use all of her ERS now to try and get past. Slipstream needed as well to try and get past Drippo. The Williams going into that first turn. Will she send it down the inside? But no, it's the Cobras who will. Trying to get a 2 for 1 like a Tesco meal deal. Will he complete it though? Down the inside, he cannot get that second position done and dusted. That should be track limits as well for Mr. Cobras as we go down the straight, like I said earlier, into the qualifying. Oh, it looks like Daniel Deswan's looking for the move onto Route 5, and he's completed it up the inside. The Red Bull clears the Alfa Romeo. A cheeky battle going there, but it is helping Cal right now as he has got a second gain on the two drivers. 25 laps run here, and on the first we've had plenty of entertainment and a second gap to the leader. Well, the Cobras, Kaylee, both there battling for the back. Oh, crikey, my bad. And of course, you've got Taroo, Prius, and Combat Flipper all battling for that second spot. It's just whether or not Daniel can actually, close down that gap to Cal, as those soft tyres are going to be very useful for this opening stint. The question is, of course, whether or not he can get past. Taroo can get past, sorry. Daniel Deswan as we go into the first turn. Will he send it back down the inside? All of his ERS is wasted. No, he's onto the grass. He's onto the grass. He spun all this damage. This damage for the Haskar of Prius. Oh, no, oh, no, oh, no. Or maybe that's Combat Flipper. I think it might have been Combat Flipper, actually, who had that damage. He's now side by side with the Red Bull going down the straight. He's got the move completed. And I don't see much damage on his side. Maybe it's Daniel Deswan who had the damage due to his spinach going into that first turn, latching onto the grass, which is such a deadly thing to do around this circuit. And it's shown there that, oh yes it is Prius who has got the damage. It's the right hand side of his front end that has come off, unfortunately for him. He's going to have to box now this lap. There's nothing he can do about it. It's just a cheeky mistake by Daniel Swan. Then, oh, you can just see a little bit of tussling there with Kaylee and Drippo. Oh, ghosting from Drippo. I think there was a bit of contact between the Alfa Romeo and the Williams. Oh, Kaylee's got it all wrong. Going into the downhill left-hander. She has to absolutely snap the car back to save it. And has almost dropped a second now to the Cobras. As you can take a look at Cal, who sets a 111.5 combat flip of 111.4. Let me check something with the stream real quick. I'm just wondering if the audio for the game volume is good. Yes, it is good. Alright, that's all good then. And yes, you can see Drippo's actually gone into the pit lane from damage, I believe. Either that or he's just retiring for no good reason. Into the pits he must go. And it is a new front wing for the Williams driver. Looks like Prius is staying out with his broken front wing, which is quite a brave thing to do, as Daniel Swan is really losing time quite a lot to Mr. Prius, as he's almost already into that second gap. Kaylee right behind the Cobras. Kaylee looking to potentially send it down the inside on the Alpine, looking for the move wherever she can. Oh, the Alpine had it a bit wrong going into that turn. Kaylee does make a tiny bit of contact. She's looking to go flat out here, around the outside. Oh, what a move by Kaylee in the Alfa Romeo. That is a fantastic manoeuvre. ERS being used, and now she's ahead by the Cobras by 7/10. It's a fantastic manoeuvre, flat out, round the outside, going into the downhill left-hander where she almost previously spun, and she was able to complete the move. It's a great move. It's oh no! Cal from the lead! Cal from the lead! He has spun into the first and second turn. He has spun in the first and second turn. He is almost out the Grand Prix. He's down to P7. P7 for the Mercedes driver. I cannot believe what I'm seeing. And Daniel Swan, for some reason, is ghosting through Prius. I think Prius has left the session. Yes, he has. That's very unfortunate for Prius. But Cal dropping so far back. So unfortunate for him. As he spins into that first and second turn. And that is a massive moment in this Grand Prix, because now it's a Haas versus an Alfa Romeo. We have an actual battle for the lead here in this Grand Prix, which is huge right now. You can just take a look. Combat Flipper has 81% ERS, 70% for Taroo, so they're not too dissimilar in terms of their ERS usage. As we go down the pit lane straight, DRS will be used by Combat Flipper. Kaylee looking for the move of Daniel Swan, and she's got it completed. ERS being used now. Daniel Swan also using his ERS, and here we go into the first turn. The DRS coming into hand for Daniel Swan. Those soft tyres as well will be wearing out soon. Kaylee's onto the grass, I think, and into that first turn almost makes contact with the Alpine of the Cobras, who are swooping by into that first turn. It could have been a very dangerous moment here in Tier 3, as ERS is being used once more by Daniel Swan, and now Kaylee's going to come back at him here with DRS. The outside line, it's a bit of a squeeze. Oh, she's having to make a pass on the grass, but it's not going to work out. She was squeezed a bit too much, and onto the grass she went, and off track limits she went as well as that. The Cobra's just hanging on by a thread here to these people up ahead. Oh, what is the Cobras thinking? Sending it down the inside there. Either it was a very brave move, or it was a... I mean, it's just a very brave move, if I'm honest. Yeah, I don't know really what the Alpine was trying to accomplish there, but yeah, the only thing he did accomplish was almost spinning round due to going for that move. So it could have been a very key moment for the Cobras race if, of course, spun round or got damage. Luckily he didn't, and luckily for us, Kaylee and Daniel Swan are still battling, almost squeezed out of track limits once more. Into that first turn we go. No grass this time for Kaylee to handle with, and she's got that move completed, done and dusted. Daniel now will try and come back at her here with the DRS, ERS wide open. He's not got much ERS, but he's going to have to use much of what he has. Looking for the outside line, he's not going to have it, and he's sending it down the inside. Kaylee has to go off a little bit wider than she would like to into that line, into that turn, because of Daniel Swan peaking for the move. But luckily for Kaylee, no contact made and no damage dealt. And on the grass again, Daniel Swan is making a mess out of that second sector so far. He's really got to clean that up. if he wants to, of course, get nice cow, sorry, charging through, back up into P5. He's looking to make amends to what he did into that first and second turn by spinning round and losing his P1. As he previously led, he's now P5 by a second and 3/10, but I'm more than sure he will be able to catch up with the drivers up ahead of him in no time. But as you can see, Combat Flipper versus Taroo is looking like a decent battle here, as Combat Flipper really just staying by. He's just buying his time. He's got good pace on those mediums. The Cobras is in. Did he get damage from that send down the inside on Kaylee? We'll have to take a look. As the Alpine comes in, you can just take a look at your Combat Flipper. He's 4/10 now over to Taroo due to that DRS. Really got to make sure he doesn't spin or do something drastic which ruins his race. And yeah, you can just see the new front wing is going on for the Cobras. He's now out on those softs, which don't really, you know, go for that long, unfortunately for him, on this stint. So he's really got to push, like Daniel de Swan is doing. But like I said earlier, he's making a mess of that second sector, and Cal is past him. He's doing everything he can to try and keep up with him. And Drippo said, I've had enough. I'm retiring from the session. He has left. And it's down to only 7 now in this Grand Prix. A second, though. Taroo has pulled a second over to Combat Flipper. Combat Flipper almost forced to use his ERS. Going into that first turn. He's now got that 8/10 of a gap of a second. So, oh, crikey, sorry. Luckily for him, he should be able to keep within that DRS. It's 8/10 now. The gap between him and Taroo, 9/10. DRS is open. He's very lucky just about to get that DRS. He's really got to push in these next few laps to solidify himself within a second of Taroo. Because if he does not, it looks like it could be a Taroo masterclass and a party for him to celebrate in. We'll have to see, though, as Cal, of course, like I will say again, previously span, he's now up into P4, he's charging through the field, trying to get closer and closer to Kaylee. Of course, Kaylee was the only person really in reach of Cal in that qualifying session. Around a tenth and a little bit between them for that pole position. And we'll have to see if there'll be any shift, really, in that gap between them. In fact, it's actually increased. It's gone from 3 seconds to 4 seconds, so maybe Cal's just being put in his place a little bit. And a little bit of a wiggle on the exits of that turn in Sector 2. Yeah, 4 seconds, but Kaylee's got that gap down by around 5/10, so this is looking to be the rest of the race now, really. Kaylee just trying to hunt down P1 and P2, which is Taroo and Combat Flipper. And Combat Flipper is 1.4, 1.5 seconds behind Taroo. So maybe Mr. Flipper is, actually decreasing in pace. And due to it, he might lose a position near to Kaylee. That 10 of 25. Of course, those medium tyres will be wearing out shortly. People will be thinking to potentially go on softs around lap 15, around lap 16. So we will have to see when these people will box, when these drivers will box. When will they go onto the new fresh set of tyres? And if so, will we have any battles come out on the end of it? For the viewers watching, it might seem a little dull right now with, 5 second gap, 4 second gap, 3 second gap, 23, 20. But I assure you, Tier 3 never disappoints. And later on in this race, we will definitely see some battles occur shortly. Or just somebody spinning, I've talked that into existence now, so watch Taroo spin it on this next lap. Kaylee, 4 seconds another gap between her and Combat Flipper, and Cal's Cal's making a little bit of a mess in that last turn. He's just pushing a little bit too hard to try and catch up to Kaylee, using that curb on the inside to try and give him as much as a boost as possible to try and close down that gap. Taroo, though, so far leading the race to Combat Flipper. He's just had really good race pace, really, and leading right now. It was around 7/10 2 laps ago. It's now 1.6 600 tenths really right now. And Daniel just one is in the pits for medium tyres. He's had enough of those soft compound tyres. He's only got 11 laps on those, and Cobras is going to have to go 11 laps on them. And, well, he's not having to go 11 laps. He's going to have to go around 16. So around what you would do for a medium stint, he has to do for a soft stint. So it's going to be quite a tricky one for him to of course, accomplish, but if he can, I think he'll go far in this race. And Kaylee almost getting that gap down to 3 seconds in a mere 2 laps. She's got that from, well, half the gap from 6 to 3. So it's looking very good right now for Kaylee. And sorry, a bit distracted, but Daniel S11 is right onto the back of the Cobras. So he's going to be looking for the move down into turn 1. I don't think he'll get it, unfortunately, for him. And, well, 3.9 seconds. I mean, Kaylee's just pulling away from Cal, and all that's track limits for Daniel. Kaylee's just pulling away from Cal, and Cal is dropping off, but gaining on the Cobras as well. So it's just a good pace from both drivers, but Kaylee just having a little bit better pace. And the Combat Flipper, or Mr. Flipper, my goat, is 2.2 seconds behind. Oh, I don't know what Daniel's doing, but 2 seconds behind Taroo for that top spot now. So maybe it's time for a shift in that P2 spot. And you can just take a look at Daniel S11 licking his lips, hunting down the Cobras here as we enter the second sector. ERS is being used. Will he send it down the inside on Mr. Cobras? He won't just yet. He's eagerly waiting to go for that move into the first turn. And he's using ERS here. Oh, that could have been very dangerous. He could have gone round at that turn. 3/10 off of his best lap in the Grand Prix. And he has got enough pace, though, to potentially get past the Cobras going towards that first turn. ERS being used. DRS now being used down the straight. It is activated. And I think Mr. Cobras will stay ahead. Maybe it's just due to the lower wings. Really? And Daniel just getting a bit too close to my liking. And Kaylee's got a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. And Daniel S11 will look for it round the outside. Will he get the move completed? No, he's relying on that DRS down the straight. He's relying into the next turn. Will he send it like he did on Kaylee? Oh, he's in the back. He's in the back. Oh, he's had contact with the Alpine. He pushes him off wide. And I think I saw a bit of front wing come off as well for Daniel. Yes, Daniel has got damage to his front wing. That is horrendous. And oh no, he spun him back on track. Goes the Alpine. And oh my, what have I just seen? Combat Flipper into the pits. It's firing up here in Tier 3. Kaylee 3 seconds. Daniel S11 smacking the back of Cobras like 8 times, losing a bit of his front wing. And he'll have to come into the pit shortly. Surely. And that has ruined Daniel's stint, and that is potentially ruined his race. But Cal, Combat Flipper, both into the pits on the soft compound tyres. So Combat Flipper, if he really wants to get this P1 back, he has got to absolutely push on this first lap. He's got to try and make the most of this undercut that he's trying to get on Taroo. And, well, Daniel S11 in the pits, new front wing. He's going on to another set of softs. He's pretty much relying on a safety car right now, which I don't really see happening if you're taking a look at the gaps. But Taroo, I believe, might come in on this lap, unless he's feeling a bit cheeky on these medium tyres. No, he's coming in. He is coming in. So, Combat Flip has to really hope that he did all he could with his stint, with his first lap, and hopefully for him, get the undercut on Mr. Taroo, but it doesn't seem very likely, as he will now swiftly flick his car into that last turn. And is it going to be the undercut achieved? It's going to be very close coming out the pit lane. Taroo has been sent out by his crew. And can the Haas car get the undercut on him? Sorry, I think he's going to get it. I'm not too sure. It's quite close as we go down into the straight. No, Combat Flipper does have it. He did get the undercut. And Taroo 5 is now approximately 1 second behind, I believe. That is fantastic from Combat Flipper. Just what he needed, really, in this race. And Taroo will have the better tyre advantage, but right now, Combat Flipper just really, in control now of Taroo's pace. He's forcing the pace out of him, and due to that, he will probably get more tyre wear, Taroo, than Combat Flipper will. So Combat Flipper, that is just what he needed. He's got a 3-second undercut, really, if you think about it, because he was 2 seconds behind going into the pits. So that is fantastic from him. But will he get the undercut on Kaylee, who is just coming into the pits now? 13 seconds the gap as she comes into the pits. Prius will technically, undercut her, but let's be completely honest, he's not really in this race. 1:10.6 for Combat Flipper. That's quicker than some people's actual qualifying laps, for Lord's sake. And Kaylee, on this soft stint, will be around, I think, maybe 3 seconds, 4, 5 seconds behind Taroo, which is really quite damaging in this race. And, well, Kaylee's got to really think now. She's got a 3-second time penalty. She's pretty much 8 seconds behind Taroo and Combat Flipper. She has to do everything she can in this soft stint to really push on these tyres, do whatever she can, get the win potentially, and she has to gap 3 seconds as well. So it is gonna be a very close, around 9 laps or so left in this Grand Prix. It's whether or not Kaylee can catch up to the guys ahead and then overtake the guys ahead and then gap 3 seconds to the guys ahead. It is quite unlikely, I will say. It is quite a reach. But if anybody's to do it in this race so far, it would be Kaylee, as she's had an immense pace on those mediums. And already she's got 5 tenths in 2 sectors with these soft tyres. So clearly her pace is coming into play. Combat Flipper, 10.6. Improves in his previous fastest lap. And hopefully there's no desync, so he won't get his fastest lap point removed. But nevertheless, Cal will get a 10.4. He gets the fast lap, actually, so he's just said, you know what, mate, I'll be the fastest around the track, thank you very much. But with Kaylee's pace on these softs so far, maybe she'll get that fastest lap going into this lap. The Cobras is in. Does Daniel Deswan get the undercut on Cobras? Maybe Cobras' tyres are not feeling it, and he said to himself, maybe I'll go for a soft stint and be like Lewis Hamilton lost the first challenge. Who knows? Maybe he's pitting just to be close to Daniel Deswan to give us some entertainment. He's on mediums. I'm not sure why he's done that, but he has. As we go into the first turn, now I think Daniel Deswan's going to be ahead of the Alpine, or is he? It's quite close. As we exit the pit lane, he has got him. He has. The Cobra is coming out now, and he's hit the pit wall. That is not very good. 3 tenths the gap, so he's very close behind Daniel Deswan. Maybe he's going to be looking to just really, shake his fist really at Daniel for what he did earlier, smacking the back of him, losing him much time. And look at Kaylee, she's smashed that fastest lap time out of the bloody park. It's a 1:09.6, I believe. That's around 8 tenths quicker. She's got a 3.3 second gap now, so it's almost looking certain that she'll be able to close that gap. But is it certain that Daniel just the Cobra's getting caught on that and that grass on the outside? But nevertheless, what I was going back to saying is, I think we can put the stamp on her catching up to Taroo and Combat Flipper, but will we put down a stamp on whether or not she'll be able to actually gap 3 seconds or not? Hello to the new viewers coming in. It might not seem like an entertaining race right now because, of course, the gaps. But we do have Kaylee, who's got significant pace on these softs, trying to hunt down Taroo and Combat Flipper and potentially have a scruffy battle for P1 near the end of this race, which we would love to see. But there is already a scruffy battle between the Cobras and Daniel Deswan. Daniel Deswan taking a more wider line going into that turn. And look at that rundown that the Cobras will have. Down the inside, he's looking to send it. There's a bit of contact on. Oh no! The Cobras has gone round. Daniel Deswan, I think, has just turned in on the Cobras, to simply put it. And Cobras is round, and that's really damaging for his Grand Prix. And we have to see what the stewards will say after that one. I don't think Daniel's had a necessarily clean race so far, and that has not made it any better, if we're being quite frank. And we'll see what the Red Bull driver can make out of this. He's 42 seconds behind. 42 seconds behind Cal. Is not really ideal, is it? even if Cal spins it, it's not going to do anything. But Kaylee is doing something right now, and that's quick. Being quick around this circuit, around that second sector as well, is really where she's gaining time. 1.6 seconds are the gap. She has closed this down mightily. in this second stint on the soft compound tyres. And, wow, 1.4 seconds. We'll see when it is at the end of this lap, I think. She'll be able to try and close down on her teammate Taroo, who's 2.1 seconds behind Combat Flipper. So this is been a fantastic stint from Combat Flipper as well, you know, gapping and keeping 2 seconds to Taroo. And it's not necessarily Taroo falling off the pace and Kaylee catching up, because if that was the case, you know, Taroo would be like around 5 seconds behind Combat Flipper at this point. But they're keeping the same gap, Combat and Taroo, but Kaylee's just closing in. This is just a matter of Kaylee's pace and not really anything else. She's had fantastic, you know, for crying out loud, just look how quick she is. She's got that gap down to 1.2 seconds now, just going into the second sector. Just bit by bit. Oh no, there's yellow flags up, and that's Daniel de Swan going slow in that second sector, and the Cobras is back ahead of the Red Bull. So I think the Cobras will be quite happy at that, to what happened to him just previously. But nevertheless, we look back up to the podium positions as Kaylee has a 0.8 gap to Taroo, and we'll have that DRS going into the first turn. This is quite huge in this Grand Prix, as the DRS is being used. It's whether or not Kaylee can overtake Taroo as quick as she can, and if she can overtake as quick as she can, then she'll close that gap down to Combat Flipper, get the overtake, get the 3 seconds, done and dusted. I'll take the win, thank you very much. That is what she's trying to achieve right now, but can she achieve it? DRS being used down the straight. The 2 Alfa Romeo is going to go side by side going into the left-hander. And oh, it's a fantastic move by Kaylee, just down the inside. See you later, alligator. I'm now going to go and have a cheeky bite at Combat Flipper and try and get this P1. Kaylee clears the Alfa Romeo of Taroo, her teammate, like it's absolutely nothing, and is now hunting down at Combat Flipper, waiting to potentially get that luxurious P1 here in Tier 3. 8 tenths now the gap. Look at how quick she has been on this soft stint. It will be quite the reward if she could overtake Combat Flipper. She is on fresher tyres as well. You've got to put that into account as well. And here we go then. It is Combat Flipper versus Kaylee into this first turn. Is there going to be any contact? Is there going to be any drama? Like we haven't already seen drama in this race. ERS being used round the outside. And that's the move completed for Kaylee. Just what she needed. She's now in P1. She's now controlling the race. All she needs to do is gap Combat Flipper by 3 seconds. And that's her win. Done and dusted. But Cal's in. Why is Cal in for? Is it the soft tyres? Are they wearing out too much? There's only 3 laps left, so it is only a mere change of tyres. Is that an indication that these tyres are going to go off massively for Combat Flipper and for Taroo? And could they even be popped by the end of this race? We'll have to see. As okay, he makes a mess of that turn in Sector 2. Combat Flipper is just about hanging on with the DRS. Can he potentially get the overtake going down towards the first turn, just like Kaylee did on Combat? 8 tenths. Oh no, a little bit of a slip and slide going into that downhill left-hander. 9 tenths the gap. DRS will be in use for Combat Flipper, but he makes a bit of a mess of that last braking zone. It's 1.2 seconds the gap. I don't think he's got DRS, sorry. No, he hasn't. It's now Taroo versus Combat Flipper for P2. They can't be battling too much, otherwise they'll waste too much time to Kaylee. But Taroo will go for the move, and he's got the move for P2 right now. And now he's in within 1 second, and he's got DRS on Kaylee. That is confirmed. DRS will be used now down this straight. Can he close down the gap to Kaylee? Can he be the one to have a say in Kaylee's reign right now? If so, this will be a fantastic result for Taroo. Combat Flipper as well in P5. It's really Taroo versus Combat Flipper. Who's going to get P1? Because I don't think Kaylee is going to get a 3 second gap to Taroo or Combat Flipper. Well, that's unless Taroo or Combat Flipper spins. But that's unlikely, really, in these circumstances. And, well, oh well, oh well. We have a very nice battle on our hands. 1 second now the gap. Is it going to be just within that 1 second? It's so crucial that Taroo does have that DRS. And no, he does not. But neither does Combat Flipper, I don't think. Or maybe, does Taroo have that DRS? I think he might, actually. I think he might. Yes! Yes, he does! Taroo does have that DRS on Kaylee. That is a huge moment into this Grand Prix, and Combat Flipper's going to have to waste all of his ERS, waste all of his time trying, praying really, that he can catch back up to Taroo. We've only got around 2 laps left of this Grand Prix. Taroo on 9 laps on those softs. Combat Flipper 10 laps of those softs. And now Taroo closing that gap down to Kaylee. Is there going to be any drama, any contact between the two Alfa Romeo drivers? If so, it will cap off a dramatic display here by the Tier 3 drivers. But I don't think Taroo is really going to battle. I think he just has to stay behind, wait for the 3 seconds time penalty to kick in and take his win on after penalties on the track. And Taroo, 8/10 of the gap. You could just take a look at the time that Kaylee gained in that second sector. Just an unbelievable amount of pace in that second sector, just really catching out Taroo and Combat Flipper. But now Taroo has got that DRS. Yes, he does. It's only by a slither of an amount, around I think 400ths really. But we tick on into the final lap now of the Brazilian Grand Prix here in Sao Paulo, Interlagos, as Taroo is getting close to Kaylee. I mean, it would be preferred if Taroo gets the overtake down this straight, or gets to the overtake in general, because then and only then would he be able to confirm and put a stamp on that win if Kaylee was to get her penalty removed after this race. But so far, so blooming good for Taroo. I mean, Combat Flipper has to make sure that he's within 3 seconds to Kaylee, because if not, then he's going to lose out on a P2 here. So he's really got to push in this final lap to make sure he can stay in that P2 position. But Taroo is just latching onto the back of Kaylee's car right now. 8/10 the gap. DRS will be used down there straight. The final sector will come to a close. I think Combat Flipper's very close. It's 3 seconds the gap between him and Taroo. So I think Combat Flipper's going to miss out on a P2. But I'll tell you what, it's been a great race nevertheless. The low attendance. Kaylee will come around that last turn to take the P1 on track. But the man who will win the Grand Prix after penalties will be Taroo 5, as he came around that last turn. He's conquered on the streets of Interlagos, and he will win the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Combat Flipper coming into third, just dropped off on pace on the last few laps. Unfortunate really for the Haas driver. What a beautiful race, and it ends in a 1-2 for Alfa Romeo, and a top 3 really for Ferrari Academy. Well, I am sure a lot of respect will be dealt out to the drivers in the drivers' chat, because, well, maybe Daniel just won't get the same treatment, but it was a very good race. Some good battling between Taroo and Kaylee, and good battling between Combat and Kaylee as well, and eventually it was the win for Taroo after the penalties. It's whether or not Kaylee can get that removed or not, but it's unlikely, as I believe when she got that penalty she wasn't really near anybody, so there you go then. Kaylee is your driver of the day. I think that is, well earned. She had the best pace really out of anybody on the circuit, but Taroo was able to just latch on with that DRS at the end and secure his victory here in Sao Paulo. What a race though. I bloody love a bit of Sao Paulo action, which you can get more of tomorrow for Tier 2 at the exact same time, 8 PM for British time. GMT, I believe it, because it's not so anymore, so it's going to be GMT. So if you are anywhere else in the world, you can go ahead and search that up. Switch it over to your time zone, and you can potentially tune in for that Tier 2 race. But the best of the best will be on Sunday, where we will see the Tier 1 drivers race around Sao Paulo in such entertaining fashion like they have done this season thus far. Kaylee wins on track. Taroo P1 on penalties. That is all you need to know. Oh no, I don't think I'm going to get the race results in time. It's glitched, I believe. It's unfortunate, but nevertheless, that has been your race, fellas. I believe a thoroughly entertaining one at that. And I hope you all enjoy watching tonight's stream here. And we'll see you tomorrow, if you want to tune in, that is, on Tier 2. For now, I've been Pistol, I've been your commentator and host. Goodbye.